Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is a card from the game Matchbreakers. Matchbreakers is a card game in which each player is taking on the role of a contestant on those dating games of yore. You know what, I don't own normal cable TV anymore, so maybe there are dating games still existing. But when I was growing up, there was a lot of those different types of games where like the idea of matching people up that had similar interests and things like that was like a game, which, God, that seems so outdated now if you think about it. It's like, hey, I can't meet anybody in the real world, so I'm going to go on a TV show and ridicule myself in front of a bunch of people and try to like impress like some random person, and hopefully they pick me as the person to date. And of course, if you don't get picked, then you're some sort of loser. But thinking about this, I would love to know like how many like long-term relationships actually like were created on those types of games. I'm sure there's some website or something I could look that up. But anyway, regardless, Matchbreakers is a lighthearted, fun game full of memory and a little bit of strategy, a little bit of luck, in which, like I said, each player is taking on the role, and you're trying to gather as many dates as you possibly can from the contestants that are going to be on this show called Matchbreakers. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how the game is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is Matchbreaker. Let me teach you how to play this game. So this is a game where you are trying to collect these contestant cards. These contestant cards will have a name, and they have the point total, which are the hearts that are up in this category, and they also give you a little special power as well. And each one of these is different, and you get a small deck of these. Now, the game is won by a certain number of points being gained by a player, and that varies for 2, 3, or 4 people. Basically, the more people you have playing the game, the less points you need to win. Now, these particular contestants on this like fictitious dating game are going to be assigned traits by using these trait cards. That is that giant deck of cards over there. To begin the game, each player is dealt 3 random traits. Now, these are going to have colors to them, which are the important thing, but they also have just like little things about them. And now, this would be like if this was a trait card that was played on one of these 3 contestants, like that person would then gain a teal trait, and then also have impersonations, which is a roll on the floor laughing as this contestant pulls out spot-on impressions of your in-laws. So they're little funny things like that. However, the actual like flavor text doesn't really matter one way or the other. It is the color of the card that matters. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have some fun with the different traits that are assigned. When I played this with my daughter, we were having a lot of fun joking with the different things that we were giving the different players, and like laughing about like maybe the ironic suggestions of each one, or the anachronistic nature of those things. Anyway, so each player is going to get 5 trait cards that are going to be handed to you. So you have, like, as you can see, we have this like kind of pinkish red color, we have a yellow, and we have teal or blue or whatever you want to call it. And those are the different cards you have in your hand. You also will get some of these drama cards, which basically are cards that break the rules in some way. Choose a contestant's trait card and swap it with one from your hand. And so like it's just something you can play as an action on your turn. Speaking of actions, on your turn you get 3 of them, but the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw 2 cards off the top of this, and you're going to add it to your hand like so. And I got, this is important, notice how this isn't a pink, this is more like an orangey red. These are red flag cards, and this contestant does not own a single pair of shoes. Now, this is the kind of funny thing. Now, these are traits that, notice this color isn't going to match up with any of these cards that you have. And when you could place these on one of these 3 contestants, the red cards are like a negative thing, and obviously you can't match up with those because nobody's going to start with a red flag card as one of their options. But anyway, as the game progresses, what you're going to do on your turn is, after you have your hand of cards, you can do one of several things. You can play any of your drama cards you wish as an action. You can play a trait card face down on any one of those 3 contestants, or you can like reveal a card if there's any face down cards on there. Now notice when you reveal a card, you're revealing it to everybody, and so there is a bit of a memory aspect to this game. So, and I'm just going to put like 3 cards down here. Let's say, and you can only have a total of 3 trait cards on any one person. So the thing is you can't just keep adding traits as you go along. And these 3 have to completely match with yours that are down there for you to choose to date them. Now, you can, as an action, just say, I want to try to date that person, and you reveal any cards that haven't already been revealed. Now, if you're lucky enough to have all the cards revealed at that time and you match up, then obviously you've won the game. But if you are revealing them, you might have, you're just guessing, right? And you're kind of hoping that it's going to be the case. But anyway, so like on your turn, like you can reveal a card. So you can say, okay, you reveal 1 card on that person. Now I know that I can't date that person because of the fact that, I haven't matched up with them in any way, shape, or form. If you do have a situation where you reveal a red flag card, the red flag card will go up above the contestant. So like, now there's a spot to place another card down, but because this red flag card is up there, there's something bad about this particular contestant. And if you do end up claiming them, they are worth -1 total point. So this one would be worth 2, and in this case, if you did claim Diane because you could eventually match up with the traits that are there, it would only be worth 1 point at the end of the game. Now, if this red card was over here on our buddy here, Phil Steele, notice how it's -1 and -1, meaning he's not worth anything. When that happens, and this would happen if there was 2 red cards on either of these 2 contestants because they're worth 2 points each, you then discard everything and then you draw another contestant off of there and add that to the card. Now let me just facilitate, a winning combination here. I'm probably going to have to draw some cards or, cheat in some way. Let's just take this, and let's say I have 1 of each color like so. And let's say, we have these in here, and like so if I revealed those 2, let's put 2 of them face down. I said I want to, because I've just kind of moved the cards around with drama cards, or I've been able to pay attention to what's going on, or maybe I just want to take a gamble, I can go ahead and I'd reveal all those, and then I would claim my buddy here, Bruce Cannon, worth 2 points, and I would claim that, and I'd place that over here, and we discard those. If there's any red cards associated with them, you do take those with the contestant that you claim, so you can make sure that you keep the -1 point and know that they're only worth that 1 point in that situation. Of course, then we're going to reveal the next one, and here we have Adonis Stone. Ooh, look at that guy! Look at that mullet. Anyway, so you can see there can be worth up to 3 points if that's the case. Now, if you were to reveal like the cards on somebody, let's say like we had this. Actually, here, hold on. Let's go ahead and let's say we thought that was a yellow card and somebody had moved those around. And on our first turn of our action, we reveal a card like so, and we're like, oh, I thought that was totally a yellow. I remembered I put a yellow card there. Then your turn's immediately done. Even if you have actions left, your turn is completely over and done with, and now the next person gets to go. And if the next person can match up well with that, maybe they have an ability to, like, if they had this like kind of a drama card that allowed them to swap a card out, maybe they, like they were somebody that had 2 red and they were able to swap this one out with a red card from their hand, then they could take their next action. And so you never want to give up too much information, right, to the other players. The only other thing you have to keep in mind is if you have, you have to, like discard down to 5 cards in your hand. So you can sometimes get up above 5 cards, and like if you do, you have to go back down. Also, if you have no cards in front of you on the beginning of your turn, you don't draw 2 cards. You get to draw 5 cards and have a full hand of cards when you start your game. As I said, you're either going to play the game to a certain number of points. Like it's 7 for 2 players, 6 for 3. And then 5 for 4 players, and whoever gets to the number of points first is going to win the game. Or if you ever are supposed to draw cards and this deck is empty, the game ends immediately and whoever has the most points will win the game. This is, as I said, not a terribly complex game to play, but it does require a little bit of strategy and a little bit of luck and a great deal of memory to remember where those cards are and what cards are being associated with each contestant, so you can make sure that you're able to claim those as you can, or sabotage the cards by using these sabotage the contestants by using these red flag cards to make sure that those particular contestants aren't worth it to the other players to claim. So let me tell you the stuff I liked about Matchbreakers here in my final thoughts. Alright, so while I remember I had that thought about maybe like Googling up like how many long-term relationships or whatever. I didn't actually find that, but I did find out there was one time like a serial killer or something appeared on one of those old dating shows, which is like, like after the fact, like, oh hey, this person was on a dating show, but then later on it was found out that they were a horrible criminal. But yeah, so I guess that was just stands to reason, or eventually like law of averages maybe. But that's pretty gruesome when you think about it. But anyway, like there was a lot of those old things. I mean, and like I remember when I went to college, like, and that was admittedly still a long time ago. There was like this really horrible show called like Studs was the show, but there was also like the dating game, and like there was the Newlywed Game, which I guess technically wasn't about dating, but it was about people going and talking about their relationships and things like that, and being like and allowing themselves to be kind of in a fun way ridiculed in some way for their dating habits or their personal quirks or what have you. So I guess, I mean, this is kind of a play on that, but as I said, it's just kind of like, it's very anachronistic to the world that we're living in now. I mean, I don't think there is any real like dating shows anymore. But that doesn't really matter. What I'm here to talk about, oh, and also, like, if you might remember the old game called Mystery Date, if you remember that. I remember playing that with my sister, my older sister, when I was really young, and that was like you had to, and I think, and this is once again a very anachronistic thing to think about in this day and age, but if I remember correctly, it was like each person played like a teenage girl, and you like were trying to get like the good date, like, and it was like the hunk was the one that you were supposed to succeed, and like, oh, you got the nerd or something, and that was like the bad date or something like that, and you got points. But I mean, yeah, I mean, a different time, right? So, but regardless to any of that, at its face value, I mean, obviously, this game could be themed as almost anything, right? You're just matching up different colors or different traits, and you're trying to claim those cards, and you are using your own memory, your own like way to have subterfuge and try to sabotage other people's decisions. But what really brings forth the fun in this game was, for the people that I played with, both my gaming group and my daughter, was the theme, right? It was just kind of like the contestants had funny little cartoon art. The contestants had funny little quirks that you could add to them, and of course the special powers they give you as well, but they just had a lot of things going on as far as just the presentation, and it was a very, very retro kind of like late 80s style to the game as well. And it was just, so if you allowed yourself to like kind of dive into the theme a little bit and just relax and have some fun, that's where we were enjoying ourselves a great deal. And of course there's like the whole like idea of sabotaging some of the different contestants, and like hoping other players are putting the same cards. And there is like I said, there's a bit of strategy going on. Your traits are face up in front of you, and this is where I think that like, I mean, I remember when I first presented this game to my gaming group, they were kind of like, what is this, but then after they started playing it and they realized that since your traits are face up, you get to start looking at other players and seeing that you match up with the same traits, so it's like, oh, I have two colors the same as you, and you put a card down on that contestant. Now, did you put a card down there because you're trying to build that contestant up so you can claim them hopefully on your turn? Or did you do something that kind of make me think that I think that you think, that whole like, which way are you going to turn kind of thing? Are you like sabotaging that one so I can't claim it? And really going for something else. And you have to kind of keep your head on a swivel and figure out which one, and try to figure out what your opponents are doing. Because you can't just sit there and constantly just create negatives on all the contestants. Ultimately, you have to claim something where, it is something that you need. And so that's where like that reveal action comes in hand, like a very, very important aspect of the game. Like you want to reveal information so you have it at your disposal, but if you reveal something that's going to actually like give somebody necessary information to collect points on their turn, then you've kind of done their work for them. And so you want to stop yourself from doing that. And also you have to kind of just convince other players, like you put a card down that actually helps you, and like you put it down on a contestant that you want, but you maybe can like mentally or like kind of juxtapose like that person feeling that you're actually sabotaging that particular contestant, and so then they reveal that card on their turn and it's exactly what you wanted them to do. So like you don't have to do that yourself. And so you can realize that you have a match that works for you. So there is, like I said, there's some little trickery going on, there's a little strategy going on, and also if you just take the game for what it's worth with the lighthearted theme and the lighthearted like art direction they went, I think you're going to find yourself having a lot of fun. Like I said, my daughter and I had a lot of fun laughing about each contestant and all of their like either like positive and negative quirks, and just kind of turning them into those people into some sort of misbegotten child of our mind kind of thing going on, which like I said was really fun. So there you go. If you're looking for like a cool little card game with a cool little theme that like if the players at your table are able to like kind of just relax and allow that theme to kind of seep in and just enjoy it for what it is and not expecting it to be something that it isn't, I think you're going to really, really enjoy Matchbreakers. And if you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Be the most awesome version of you that you possibly can be, because you're awesome. I'm the Undead Viking. I will see you soon.